Mira Business FM. The sound of success.
It's the morning drive here at Mira Business FM with me, Tim Elliott. Good morning to you. Don't forget you can watch us on the website, mirabusiness.fm. You can find us on social media, across social media. Everything we do, pretty much everything, in fact, I think 100%, as near as you can get, is podcasts. So wherever you find your podcasts, you can listen and or watch, or both again. That's up to you. Contact us, info@mira.fm, and also WhatsApp. You can find us on 971-522-789-567. If you can't remember that number, and believe me, it's a tough one, then just open up the dialog box by typing in whatsapp.mira.fm. So that should work. Get in touch with us. Now, next, a story that reflects the spirit of progress shaping the region today. It's a story of entrepreneurship, industry transformation, and the people driving one of the Middle East's fastest growing aviation platforms. Under the leadership of Daniyal Qureshi and Daksha Patel, Niche Ideas is becoming one of the region's most influential event organizers. Their flagship platform is the Global Airports Forum, which has recently received major industry recognition as it was shortlisted for Best Exhibition of the Year at the Saudi Event Show Awards. Daniyal and Daksha are here. Daksha, first of all, nice to see you.
Thank you.
And also, Daniyal, nice to meet you again.
Thank you for inviting us.
Good for having you here. Look, there's a lot to talk about because what you've managed to do is get recognition for the forum in a remarkably short space of time. So congratulations on that. It puts you in a great position, I think, as it's a world-class meeting point for aviation leaders and decision makers and innovators. And there's no shortage of those people looking to shape the future of development of airports and operations in this region at this particular moment in time. Let me start with you, Daniyal. I suppose that gives you some form of prime mover advantage, let's say?
Well, firstly, thank you for having us at the show. We've both Daksha and myself, we've got a long history of working in the aviation events industry. We've done events in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and there was an opportunity. In Saudi Arabia, there was a requirement. A lot of our clients wanted to go into Saudi, so we kind of put the exhibitors and the visitors, as they're called in our industry, we put them together. There was a genuine requirement, and we were just there to fulfill it.
Well, I mean, there really was, I think. The event has grown so quickly. We'll come to the figures in a few moments, but let's just look at the history. Just fill me in on, the timeline is what I'm asking, really.
So we started immediately after COVID. We knew there was a need. Saudi Arabia had been making a few announcements about their expansion plans, part of Vision 2030, and they knew that aviation and transport logistics were a critical component of that. So they wanted to increase the passenger numbers triple-fold. They wanted to increase the number of flights, connectivity, destinations, 250 destinations they wanted to reach. So that required a lot of the global industry coming to Saudi, meeting with the Saudi leaders, and doing that networking and collaboration, putting those partnerships in place. A lot of that industry reached out to us. Of course, we were following the news anyways. We had our experience in the UAE, which is such a great learning opportunity. Working in the UAE, working in Dubai is such a great opportunity to understand how to deliver a great business event. We used that opportunity to connect the dots. Immediately after COVID, in 2022, we had our first edition of the event. And from there on, I think we delivered on a promise. And from there on, and of course, the Saudis were extremely helpful in welcoming the world to Riyadh for this event. And from there on, there's no turning back.
I mean, it's kind of a new beginning for Saudi, but I suppose you were able to draw on, your experience in the aviation industry, in the sector here in the UAE, weren't you?
Yes, we were working on a number of aviation events, aerospace, airports, air cargo, etc. So we've done a lot of work in the aviation sector, and we know how exciting and glamorous the aviation sector is, not just for the people who work in it, but for the people who aspire to be in it. So over the years, one thing that we're really proud of is every event that we've done, whether it was before in the UAE or now in Saudi Arabia, giving jobs to the youth of the nation is a very important factor. So we do a lot of work behind the scenes in making sure that Saudi nationals are presented this opportunity. So the universities, colleges, etc., are involved. We run a fantastic program called Women in Aviation as well. So we make sure that the benefits of this economic drive help national employment, help the youth to come into this great industry.
So it's COVID time, and Daksha, I want to bring you in. I know you've got a sore throat today, so I'm not going to tax you too much. Thank you for being here. So it's COVID time. You two guys think we want to do something here. What sparked the original idea? What's your story on that as well? Not that I don't trust your story, Daniel. Don't get me wrong, but what sparked what was the spark for this idea?
Not only that. I mean, there's three partners. Obviously, myself, Nadeem, and Daniel. Just sitting, having a coffee one of the days. We've been in the aviation sector for a long time, working in Dubai, as you know.
Yeah.
And just realized there's a gap. We could take this show. We wanted to do it before, but it was a bit difficult then. We thought the time is right now. Saudi is investing so much into its transport and logistics. So we decided to say, okay, now's the time to go into Saudi.
Well, it's gone pretty well, hasn't it? If you look at, I'm reading some of the notes around the event. I mean, Daniel, the 2025 edition of the forum has doubled in size. So you've gone from 2 exhibition halls to 4. That strikes me as being, in 4 years that this has been around, that's pretty remarkable growth in terms of the trajectory.
Well, when we did the last edition, it was in 2 halls, and we ran out of space. So we had a lot of calls in the last couple of weeks, couple of months, for people who wanted to join. Sorry, and we ran out of space. So we asked the venue, "What's the maximum space you can give us?" They said, "We have 4 halls." We said, "We'll take them all," and we filled it up.
Just give us all. They need to build you some more halls, I think. But so this time, what can attendees expect when you have increased this much in size? Or how do you guys term it? This larger footprint, I think, is probably the industry parlance there. Well, what's been added this year?
So the aviation industry, I mean, I love the aviation industry, so I could talk for hours about it. But the aviation industry is very exciting and dynamic and innovative.
Yeah.
So there are constantly changes happening within the industry, just like in every other industry. There are constantly changes happening within the aviation industry towards innovation, towards digitalization, towards passenger experience. So the number of new technologies and the number of new ideas and innovations that come out each year around the world is phenomenal.
Okay.
There's the aviation industry can take in technology for almost every other sector, from the automotive, from healthcare, etc. From every other sector, technologies and innovations are adopted into the aviation industry. So at the show this year, innovation is a key theme. Innovation and how innovation is making airports more seamless, passengers, able to go through airports with less difficulty, with less hassle. How the whole airport experience is almost the airport wants to be a mall. How airport retail is changing so much. So all these innovations, all these ideas, and the best companies that deliver them around the world, top airports in Europe, top airports in North America and Asia, the companies that work on those and support them in becoming the top airports in the world are at the show. So you get to see what makes Changi an award-winning airport, or what makes Dubai an award-winning airport, or Heathrow, or Frankfurt, or Milan. What enables these airports to handle that capacity, to deliver that quality. All the companies that work on those projects, the main projects, are at the show. So it's a complete ecosystem of the entire airport. You could come into the show with a bag of cash. You could meet the consultant who will help you, devise an airport, and you could meet the company that does the runway markings. So you could come in and build an airport from scratch at the event.
Okay. It's interesting that when you talk about how airports are almost a destination in and of themselves now. Because when I was a kid, the airport was, well, not the greatest place to go. It's a very long time ago. Children were still up chimneys when I was a child. But it's just this thing now that it's almost like you don't have enough time at the airport. There are so many different, avenues to explore. There may be a gaming area or a particular restaurant or bar or whatever it is that you want to do. Some of the retail opportunities, I never get to do as much as I want to at the airport. I mean, it's been a huge change, I think.
Of course, and Tim, I'll be honest, we haven't seen the end of it yet. I mean,
They're changing
air,
for more.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
airports are innovating, and airports are very competitive spaces. There's so much more opportunity to do so much more in terms of entertainment, in terms of retail, in terms of food options. And airports are, so they want the passenger to arrive at the airport within minutes, go through the entire process of immigration, security, boarding, etc., drop their bags off, etc. So airports are becoming more seamless, more digital, more less interaction with other individuals, but do everything yourself. Do it on your mobile. Even a lot of airports now offer you to have your bags picked up before you even go to the airport.
Yeah,
So
okay.
airports are shifting towards an asset that is that you'll bring the passenger into. Within minutes, the passenger is done with all the airport-related procedures, and then can enjoy the airport, the bars, the restaurants, all the entertainment options, cinemas, even everything, bowling alleys, everything. The airports are moving in that direction.
Bowling alley at the airport.
Of course.
It's like a shopping mall almost.
That's a fantastic
Going
idea. I like that. Daksha, let me just put this to you. Just a more kind of general view. I think you've come a long way in 4 years with the show. Global Airports Forum, I guess, has had to expand rapidly as Saudi's aviation sector has grown and is growing. We're really beginning to see, aren't we, strong kind of regional demand from business events, and I guess much of that comes from the experience of Dubai as kind of the was it like the fire starter for this, do you think? Is that reasonable to say?
Absolutely, it is. I mean, there's a whole new demand for it. Saudi is becoming the new Dubai at the moment. Saudi is becoming the new Dubai. So what Dubai was almost like 20, 30 years ago, you'll see Saudi growing at a rapid pace, and they're building and building every single day. You can land at the airport 1 week, and the next week you'll see some new technology put in. So it is growing.
Okay, so we're on the subject of the regional aviation sector, really. That's the thrust of this whole conversation. Daniel, let me ask you about trends influencing the infrastructure here in the Middle East, the airport infrastructure here in the Middle East. We're going to see Dubai International move to Al Maktoum in the next few years, I guess. But there is so much happening. What trends would you highlight when it comes to airports, when it comes to infrastructure that surrounds airports, and also, I guess, the aviation industry itself as well?
I think, Tim, it's a very demand-driven factor. So at the moment, the number of passengers that are coming into airports in the Middle East, especially, is on the rise, and it's phenomenal. I mean, the Middle East is one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world by far.
The numbers are staggering, aren't they?
The numbers are. I mean, each year the numbers that Dubai alone announces, and then Saudis are announcing the same. Qatar is announcing the same. A lot of the other, I mean, Abu Dhabi has done a tremendous job with their airport development, the new midfield terminal. So the numbers that are coming into the Middle East, especially, are staggering. Now, unless we can put in the technology to minimize the stress that passengers have to go through, we are not able to. So the airport has to be a positive touch point in that whole journey. The journey begins when you book the ticket, basically, and from the time you book the ticket to when you reach your destination and enjoy your holiday or your business trip, etc. The entire passenger process has to be seamless. Now, we know digital technology has enabled that in so many other sectors, and aviation, as a on the whole, is using digital technology, whether it's AI, whether it's blockchain, whether it's touch-free, hands-free, mobile phones, 5G. So every application related to IoT, etc., every application related to digital, to make the passenger process as seamless, as comfortable, as enjoyable as possible, is the focus at the moment. We know the numbers are going to increase by tens of millions year on year in the region. You cannot keep Al Maktoum Airport or the expansion with King Salman International Airport in Riyadh. We know you can build a midfield terminal in Abu Dhabi. We know you can build bigger buildings, but that alone is not the answer. The answer is to be able to process passengers faster using technology, to create a seamless journey for the passenger. So the focus remains on how we're going to harness technology into making our airports faster, smoother, more efficient, more sustainable.
It's so important, isn't it, that you do that for passengers, and that's one of the things I think that Dubai's been really successful at, above probably most airports on earth. But you do have to consider the security restrictions as well. So there's that balance between moving people through as quickly as you possibly can, but moving them through securely, because that's in the interest of the nation as well.
Of course, I think the behind the scenes there's a lot of work done on airport security.
I'm sure.
So in Abu Dhabi they have the pre-clearance for the U.S. airports. So they have a pre-clearance option. I mean, the amount of work that was put in to deliver something like that is phenomenal. Now, what happens is we know from our experience, all the airports in the region are working with their global counterparts. They're working with the immigration, the security, the customs authorities globally and locally. So there's so much of collaboration on an international, regional, and local level going on to make the whole security process a bit easier, a bit simpler. We had liquid rules which have now been removed in a lot of airports.
Yep.
So we can see these, we had to take off our shoes, we had to take out our laptops. And all of these changes, yes, they were put into effect due to circumstances that happened,
Sure.
but you can see them being rolled back gradually globally and then regionally and then locally. It's because the security, yes, security has to work, hand in hand with aviation, but security and aviation and the global industry is doing so much work on a collaborative basis that the process only becomes easier year on year.
Let's move back to the event and kind of broadly the importance of trade shows, B2B platforms, when it comes to driving investment and driving partnerships and driving market entry. And also, I'm not sure if it's Daksha you want to, or Daniel you want to take this question. Either of you can. Daniel, Daksha's pointing to Daniel. That sore throat's taking over, isn't it? I can see. I feel for you. But also growth opportunities for international companies. What exhibitions offer from that viewpoint as well, Daniel?
It's a win-win. So Saudi Arabia announced that we would like the companies that come in and work. And Dubai has said this in the past as well. Every country has done this. That the companies that come in to pitch for projects in our market, they should establish bases over here. Maintenance work is required. Post handover work is required. So we saw a direct result of this in Dubai in the past when we did our exhibitions in Dubai, and now we're seeing that in Saudi Arabia as well. We have brought over 500 new companies into Saudi Arabia for our trade show over the last 4 editions. Over 500 companies that were not in Saudi Arabia before, and I would say at least 15 to 20% of them have either established local partnerships, local distributorships, or they've opened up local offices. So out of that 500 companies, over 100 we know have now set up some form of operation. Now that contributes to the economy in Saudi Arabia. That contributes to that business opening up another regional, global office that gives them more business opportunities. And from that office that they've opened up in Saudi Arabia, or that distributorship that they've opened up in Saudi Arabia, they're now able to service the entire Middle East market, which is a booming, exceptional growth market.
It's a huge opportunity for sure. Can we cast the net a little bit wider? And I'm interested in some perspective from you, to be honest, an opinion as much as anything. But the evolution of how this, I guess, regionally more than looking specifically at the UAE or Saudi Arabia, the event landscape in this region. You've been in this for some time, obviously. How you see events as having evolved over time, and what you think the future might hold for events, not specifically even the events that you hold, but just generally.
The events industry, of course, it has evolved a lot. Events have
It's hugely
it,
changed.
it has, and again, I mean, I credit to Dubai for the way they've tapped into this industry and supported this industry into becoming one of the leading exhibition centers in the world. Based on what Dubai has done, a lot of the other cities in the region are now following suit. So that's a fact. The exhibitions industry has grown, and I think the exhibition industry does a very good job of advocating its strength and the benefits it delivers to the countries that the events are hosted in, and to the companies that are brought in and given these opportunities. So we've seen the events industry only go from strength to strength over the last 1 or 2 decades, and they grow bigger. And then so there's a lot of niche events, which is where we got our name from. So there's a lot of niche events built into events that have grown, that have become so large that they're just not able to sustain the growth, and they feel that there's a large segment within that large event that can have a niche of its own. And we've seen that across so many shows. I mean, Dubai, there's so many shows where we've seen an event become so large that they've got offshoots. I mean, there's so many examples I could give you. I don't want to. I don't want to.
Quiet, isn't it? Like face-to-face events, you're going to get so much more than you're going to do if it's an online thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I'm thinking of, I was at GITEX this year, and I haven't been to GITEX for quite a few years. And the observation I would make is, I would echo everything that you've said there, Daniel. I would also argue, is it too big? I mean, it was a real struggle to get around just one of the halls, to be honest with you, because we were talking to people, doing interviews with people. Obviously, but it is so huge, and the spin-offs from that are kind of obvious, I suppose. But it's not what it was 10 years ago. Clearly, it's night and day. I kind of felt.
But this is where the exhibition organizers are doing a great job. So they're taking the event, and they're bringing more stakeholders into the event year on year. So they're growing the event, and then when it reaches that stage where there's too much to cover in a 5-day period or a 3-day period for that event, they spin off a segment. So that segment has their own event because it's large enough to cater to that industry. Now,
Yeah.
each event that has spun off, imagine the economic benefits of it. Imagine the new industries that have been supported. Imagine the visitors that come and they set up offices in your country, or they set up businesses in your country, or distributorships in your country. Imagine the economic growth that the event industry alone generates. It's worth billions. And every city that's seen successful cities do it is following suit, is putting those same models in place. And kudos to the early adopters, who've walked through the fire to put in place such a great ecosystem for other cities to emulate.
No, that's true. I mean, they've been through the tough times. They should enjoy the good times, of course. And I suppose the bigger it gets in some ways, the more urgency, the more need you create as well. This is a final question for you. We're a little bit over time, but hey, that's fine. This is one event in a pretty packed regional event calendar. We've talked at some length about Global Airports Forum, but what have you got planned next? What else are you up to? What can you tell me? You're both smiling, so there's something.
We've got a few cards up our sleeve, but
Yeah, I thought so.
you'll hear some announcements soon. We wanted to commit our time and our effort to making this, like you said, 2 halls to 4, 4 halls to 8. So we wanted to commit our time and effort to making this show as successful and deliver on the promise that it's putting for all the stakeholders on the table. Now that we feel that this show has established quite a it's on strong, solid ground. We have a couple of launches. Actually, they're not launches because we wanted to launch in those sectors, but a lot of the stakeholders, global stakeholders related to the aviation industry, have come to us and said that, can you do something? Can you do a conference for us in this sector, or can you do a small event, a niche event for us in this? To be honest, till now, we've been getting these requests for the last 2-3 years, in fact. The only reason why we weren't able to do it is because we wanted to focus, give as much attention to the Global Airports Forum for it to become what it has become. And I think now we'll have a bit more time to see what are the other opportunities. We've shortlisted a few. We've done some work, spoken to the stakeholders in Saudi Arabia and in the UAE, and we've got a few new events that we're planning to launch.
Okay. So if you do go from 4 halls to 8, hopefully they can build you 4 new halls. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that one. The 4th edition of the Global Airports Forum is on next week, September the 16th, 17th, at the Riyadh International Convention and Exhibition Centre. Daniyal Qureshi, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
And Daksha Patel, nice to see you.
Thank you.
The founders of Niche Ideas who are behind the event. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.